And it's interesting, too, because, like, these are pretty popular people. Like, Taylor Swift. I don't know about Travis Kelce, whatever. Maybe he's getting more popular now because he's with Taylor Swift. Like, I don't know. This is not a winning strategy, like, you know, this tweet seems to suggest for getting the vote out. On the one hand, you're mad that there are more young people getting registered to vote because of Taylor Swift, and that decreases the likelihood of Republicans winning because, one, more people will be voting, and two, more young people will be voting. And for whatever reason, they think that that's not likely to help them, more people voting. So that's already, you know, telling you what you need to know. But like now we're gonna make it a big part of our platform to get on one of the most popular musicians in the world. And more power to him, you know what? Double down. You know what happens when you double down and it doesn't work, you triple down. Half is the AFC, half is the NFC. So wait, it's American Football Conference. What's the NFC then? Norwegian Football Conference, surely. Two conferences, winner of each plays each other in the Super Bowl? That's how that works? Interesting. I didn't know that. I used to watch football when I was a kid. I've never heard of this before, but I guess I never really thought too much about it. I didn't really dig deep into it. I was just watching the Philadelphia Eagles because I was in New Jersey, and your choice there is either, since you don't have a state team, the New York Jets, the New York Giants, or the Philadelphia Eagles. Those are your choices. And my stepdad was an Eagles fan, so was I, because I didn't give a shit past what was on the TV. Flag football is fun as fuck, though, in school. I enjoyed that. Nowadays, what with the wokeness invading our schools, they'd call it something else that rhymes with flag football. You feel me? You know what I mean? I also used to play Madden NFL games on the PS2. Giants and Jets are both in New Jersey. Yeah, but they don't claim the state. They're embarrassed. And they have good reason to be. Anyway, I guess since we're talking about it, the whole reason I'm on this bullshit right now was because Taylor Swift is in the news, everybody. Taylor Swift, woohoo! I'm not a Swiftie. I have never claimed to be a Swiftie. I really don't enjoy Taylor Swift's music. That said, I don't enjoy the music of people who make music similar to Taylor Swift's music. That's not a moral judgment. That's just my opinion, man. It's not for me. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't personally enjoy it. But, you know, I respect the fact that she has garnered such an audience, such a fan base, and is willing to activate them for, I would say, pretty good things. Because, you know, I'm in favor, I've always said, I've been consistent on this. You've watched the channel for long enough. You know me, I'm an open book. I am in favor of good things, and I oppose bad things. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I'll say it with my chest. Some people beat around the bush. Some people try to be more covert with their politics. I like good things, and I don't like the bad things. And if that's enough to cancel me in this woke world, then so be it. For whatever reason, Taylor Swift is in the news. So I'm not exactly sure why, fully. We'll go into it a little bit, though. I know some things. The first time I remember seeing people bitch and moan about Taylor Swift was this. And I didn't even know this was Taylor Swift at the time. I just saw somebody quote tweeted this account saying the NFL is becoming unwatchable. I thought because they were a conservative account, I went on to find out because I looked at what they were talking about. And I thought it was just because like they're dancing, because like they're swag surfing or whatever. I thought like that was like, oh, I hate this wokeness. Back in my day, you stand for the flag and you never get rowdy at a ball game. The West has fallen. Billions must watch baseball instead. Turns out they're mad because it's Taylor Swift. And maybe because people are enjoying themselves at a ball game. Probably both. Because when you hate everybody and yourself, you tend to say some really crazy shit for no reason at all. I watch the NFL religiously, and it's not even that bad. She's barely on there. Most overblown complaint. Yeah, you're probably seeing more advertisements for shit you will never buy, for like dick pills and oil companies, than you are seeing Taylor Swift when you're watching NFL games. Because you're seeing like 10 minutes of gameplay and like 80 minutes of advertisements. So this was the first time I saw it. I think I heard rumblings of it before then. But now, like, people are mad as hell on the right. And when aren't they? But in this specific case with Taylor Swift. And it's interesting to me because I always thought Taylor Swift was like the every girl. Like everybody of all stripes would like what she's doing. Because back when she first started, what I remember was, it's a love story, baby, just say yes. I remember hearing that on the radio in my mom's car when I was getting driven to middle school. That was Taylor Swift, I think. I'm pretty sure. And other songs of hers would be on the radio as well. And it had like more of a country, like a pop country vibe to it. And it's not really my cuppa, you know, it's not my cup of tea. It's not for me. It's not my thing. But yeah, so she started with like a country vibe. I don't know if she's still doing it. The last Taylor Swift song I've heard is probably the one where she talks about being 21 or something. I don't even remember how it goes, but that song popped because, most Taylor Swift songs do. And that was a long time ago, too. So I thought, like, conservatives, they'd be fine with Taylor Swift because, like, she's got the country-esque aesthetic. She's a white woman, big plus. She's blonde or brunette, but kind of blonde. I guess it depends. I don't know if she's ever dyed her hair or whatever. She might even have blue eyes. And then that's a wrap for Trad Groiper 1488 on Twitter to really enjoy. But turns out, no. Turns out they're not a big fan anymore. They might have been before. And I know why. This is a more recent phenomenon. It didn't used to be this way with Taylor Swift, but I'm pretty sure I know why. Because I remember, I don't even have it up right now, but I remember seeing about this some time ago on Twitter. Taylor Swift voter registration. September 22nd, 2023. A Taylor Swift Instagram post helped drive a surge in voter registration. I remember when she was talking about this. When Taylor Swift speaks, her fans listen. On Tuesday morning, the singer posted a short message on Instagram encouraging her 272 million followers to register to vote. Afterward, the website she directed her fans to, the nonpartisan nonprofit vote.org, recorded more than 35,000 registrations according to the organization. Quote, I've been so lucky to see so many of you guys at my US shows recently. I've heard you raise your voices and I know how powerful they are. I've been working on my femme voice, by the way. Don't be too harsh. She wrote on her Instagram stories, make sure you're ready to use them in our elections this year. Her post included a link to register at vote.org. The 35,252 new registrations on National Voter Registration Day were the most since 2020, the organization said, and a 23% jump over last year. The number of 18-year-olds registered was more than double 2022. Andrea Haley, CEO of Vote.org, called it a highly encouraging sign of voter enthusiasm, especially among us voters who are newly eligible since turning 18. Time and time again, young people are showing up and demonstrating they care about their rights and access to the ballot box, Haley said in a statement. It's not clear exactly how many of the registrations were tied in Swift's Instagram. Vote.org reported a 1,226% jump in participation in the hour after the post. So that's pretty good, and that's why right-wingers don't like her. Because she's activating a younger demographic and a bunch of other people to vote. And what have I always said? Right-wingers do not want to represent you. Conservatives, Republicans, they do not want to represent you. They do not want to be voted into office by people like you. Because they think they're better than you. They think they know better than you. And they understand the historical trend of when more people vote, they're less likely to win. When less people vote, they're more likely to win. That's why historically they've been for voter suppression, closing of polling places, voter ID laws, and stuff like that, which are all methods of trying to suppress the vote. They understand that they don't want a lot of people to vote because then Republicans lose, essentially, especially the younger generation. Newly eligible voters, whom are big fans of Taylor Swift. She's got a pretty big fan base. Of all generations, she's intergenerational appeal, but specifically young voters as well. And that's what right-wingers and Republicans want the least. The last thing that the Republican Party wants is more young people to vote. Why is that? Is it because young voters just have a natural predisposition to voting Democrat? And that's why? No, it's because Republicans have literally been talking shit on young generations since the dawn of time. Conservatives are always like, back in my day, this generation, they're full of no good numpties. They don't know what they're doing. Back in my day, we had to walk both ways uphill in the snow. And it's always been like that. And then the Republican Party is like, okay, we'll make that part of our get out the vote efforts. Because for a while, and still kind of to this day, the older demographic, baby boomers especially, are very reliable voters because they have a lot of time on their hands. They go out to vote, and they often vote for Republicans. That said, it's not necessarily that when you get older, you become more conservative. It's that when people get older, if they don't adapt to the times, they get left behind. So they are more conservative compared to where society has progressed. They're being left behind. They're not changing from being like these uber lefties to then becoming a right-wing conservative return poster, okay? It's because they're being left behind, and as well they should. You get with the times or you get left in the dust. It is what it is. And that generation is not long for this world. Sad to say, their voters are kind of peacing out. They're logging off. And partially just because of, old age, but also partially because of Republican inaction on COVID. Seems like there is a partisan trend for the deaths to COVID because the Republican Party decided to make it a fundamental plank of their platform to be opposed to basic biology and vaccination. So that didn't help them very much. So they don't want young people to vote. And I've talked about this before on the program. In one of my favorite videos, Republicans losing the youth has them panicking. And this graph here, which you can't really read in the thumbnail, and you're not really supposed to because it's a thumbnail, but in the video I get into it. Essentially, in the United States, millennials are the first generation to not vote Republican as they get older. So historically speaking, the silent generation, the baby boomers, even Gen X have historically, as they've gotten older, tend to vote more Republican. Millennials are doing the opposite, actually. And that's not even to mention Gen Z. So this specific information is like earth-shatteringly, apocalypse-level distressing to Republicans because that's how they relied on winning elections. Outside of the election rigging that they do vis-a-vis gerrymandering, where they make voting districts that look like fucking Onyx from Pokemon to make sure that they can choose their voters instead of have their voters choose them. That's why they are for voter suppression, closing of polling places. That's why they are opposed to making voting day a national holiday so everybody would get off work to vote. That's why they're against universal voter registration when people turn 18 through very obvious and easy ways you'd be able to do that. A whole bunch of stuff. They're not a big fan of democracy, as it would turn out. And that's why they don't like her. They can talk about all this other shit, but it doesn't actually matter because that's all the smokescreen. What they're actually mad about is the fact that she's getting younger people to register to vote. And that's not even to say what party they're registering for, right? Like it doesn't say, at least in this article, maybe new ones have come out. But in this article, it's just people who've been registered to vote. They don't say the partisan divide there. They don't say for what party. So, theoretically, maybe it's a bunch of new Republicans being registered to vote. But it seems like they don't think that's true. And it's a good guess on their part because it's a huge number of 18-year-olds and young voters that are registering. They are more likely to vote Democrat because at least the Democrats pretend to care about the things people who are in those demographics care about. And the Republicans are actively hostile to them. And everybody else, frankly. So obviously, the Democrats are going to be more popular there because they're one of two choices. Until we can move past the first past the post system to a proportional voting system, that's going to be how it is. Mathematically speaking, third parties are not viable. I wish they were. Moving to a ranked choice voting or other proportional voting type system would be a good way to allow third parties to not be mathematically non-viable. It'd be cool. Anyway, so let's see what's up. So we got from Scott M. Greer, or Scott M. Queer. To those who might say the right needs its own Taylor Swift for young women to look up to, I answer we already have that. Her name is Lauren Boebert. Come on now. Relax a little. You're getting a little too excited. Motherfuckers like 18-year-olds who care about Taylor Swift music do not know who Lauren Boebert is. And if they do, they probably found out about her when she was giving her Democrat turncoat boyfriend a rough handy over his pants while vaping in a theater where children were present. Because that news story popped off, and that's probably how they know Lauren Boebert. I'm not sure this is the paragon of feminine excellence you want, frankly. A bit degenerate on her part. Not really, family values here. Also, this guy absolutely could have the voice I gave him. Just saying. It could be a parody count as well. Entirely possible. And if so, well played. What else do we have here? So from Noted Nazi and Wokeness on Twitter, whom has gotten endorsed by Elon Musk, coincidentally. What's happening with Taylor Swift is not organic and natural. It's an op. We all feel it. We all know it. No, man. She's just popular in the marketplace. She has intergenerational appeal. People young and old like listening to her music. She's a pop star. She's also not the first pop star to voice political opinions. She's pretty as well. That helps in this world. It's not an up. She's doing capitalism well. That's the thing you don't like. She's doing well at capitalism. She's doing the thing. She's very popular in the market, and she's making a lot of money because of that. And because money equals power in our society, because of the way that it's been built, she's got a lot of power behind her. She can direct people to, say, register to vote, and have a pretty substantial impact on elections because of that. This is a thing. Right-wingers will always talk about, oh my God, celebrities, we don't care about what you think. We don't care about what celebrities think. Meanwhile, they've, voted in The Apprentice host, Donald Trump. Clearly, you care about what celebrities have to say. And what's the reason? There's nothing here. We're just vaguely gesturing at something on this. So, let's get, from the authoritative source Fox News. Let's see what the problem is. Because, they're not coming, as far as I'm aware, from what I've seen, they're not being yo, I hate that Taylor Swift enfranchised a bunch of new voters that are unlikely to vote for us because we've been actively hostile to her and also the demographics that enjoy her music. They haven't said that because that'd be too on the nose. It'd be too obvious. It's a given. So let's see. It's Fox News. Let's see what's going on.
We have had enough of Taylor Swift for now, but here's the
Same.
facts. Chiefs are...
Man, I was saying that a long time ago, too. And mostly just because I don't care. I don't need to see the Swifties talk about Taylor Swift all the time. I don't need to see it on my feed. I'm not into the music. Good for her. Good for anybody who enjoys the music. It's not for me. I don't need to hear these stories all the time, but it's just in my feed. And that's been, for a while. It's on the radio. Like, I've had enough. I'm sick of it. Like, I've been on this train for a while. These guys just caught up.
Going to the Super Bowl, and now there's an online plea circulating that is begging people to become Niners fans for the next 2 weeks, just so it doesn't raise Travis Kelce, a.k.a. Mr. Pfizer's star power.
Oh, so that's Travis Kelce. I did not know this because I'm not an insane person. That is apparently Taylor Swift's new boyfriend or something like that. And he plays for the 49ers, and the 49ers won the AFC, which is the American Football Cock-Sucking Association or something, which is apparently half of the NFL. Listen, I talked about it earlier in the segment. Regardless, the 49ers won. In my mind, they should be called the 69ers. Wait, the Chiefs? The 49ers? Whatever it is. I don't give a shit. Should be the 69ers. So that's why this is being brought up. Because obviously they're having a loving embrace here, which conservatives hate. Conservatives hate seeing a white couple winning, clearly. They're always talking about how they don't like white couples, potentially even having children in the future, who's to say. That's why he's being brought up. And apparently, like the Mr. Pfizer thing, apparently he did an advertisement for people to get vaccinated, probably as part of his sports thing. Like there'll be a bunch of athletes who just do adverts for whatever brands, or in this case, advocacy to get vaccinated as a way for, one, the NFL and whoever else is getting their hands in that pie some money, including, the talent, the athlete who's doing it, and also good PR for those companies or whatever, and also in this case, good PR for the NFL and whatnot for being in favor of basic biology and being in favor of people not dying. Because right-wingers love to see people die. Right-wingers love to see people perish at preventable causes. It gives them some kind of sexual thrill. I'm pretty sure you could tell, Whenever, like, Brian Kilmeade is on screen or, Tucker Carlson, God rest his soul, they get visibly excited about, not liking things that stop people from dying. But anyway, so that's why this guy's being brought up.
Power, along with, of course, Taylor Swift, because it is so scary. There was a recent poll. 1/5 of Taylor Swift fans said they would back whichever candidate that she endorsed.
Uh-huh. Like Kid Rock, he then goes out and shoots a beer can because Bud Light had one singular sponsorship on an Instagram story with Dylan Mulvaney, noted transsexual, transgender, trans woman. And then everybody on the right was like, oh yeah, we love when the celebrity is on our side, Lamau. Like that. But of course, Kid Rock's star power is not even close to Taylor Swift.
Let's be honest, a lot of her fan base are 15-year-old girls who can't vote anyways. A lot of the others are already liberal women who would support the DNC no matter what. But there's a lot of other people who need to be careful because she doesn't do what she says. Like, for example, yesterday, she flew private from New York City to Baltimore.
And
Yet
I thought that was fine. I thought that was okay to do. Elon Musk does it all the time. Donald Trump does it. Even before he was president. What's the problem? Now, of course, we're going to vaguely gesture at imagined hypocrisy. Some horse enjoyer said that once. I think it's pretty true. Because that's all you really have. They don't have an argument here. There's not been an argument yet. They've just vaguely gestured at things that their audience can kind of pick up on, like scent trails that they can pick up on, but they haven't really said anything. Like, no arguments have been made here. They just don't like Taylor Swift because her boyfriend is successful in football, but wanted people to get vaccinated so they didn't die a preventable death because they wanted more of their voter base and their voter demographic to perish for whatever reason, just, as a handicap to make elections harder on themselves. And also, she's got intergenerational appeal. So she's got a lot of power and a lot of money because of the system of the economy that we live in called capitalism that these people really enjoy, that she's doing very well at. They just hate to see a girl boss winning, frankly. I'm sad to say, and I'm tired of saying it, but they hate to see a girl boss winning. They hate when somebody whom disagrees with them politically succeeds, at capitalism, doing better at capitalism than they are. They hate it. That's why they don't like China, partially, because China's doing better with the capitalism thing in some ways than the States are. Now, of course, I'm not a big fan of China, but that's part of the reason why they don't like him. The other part is because they don't like people who aren't white and a variety of other things. And also, yeah, she is a woman. That is also true. Enough said at that point. I really don't have to add much on to that. Like, they have nothing. So apparently, yeah, people are mad because, oh my God, Taylor Swift believes that the consensus of literally every single scientist who has studied it and whose job it is to study it and who's dedicated their lives to gaining knowledge and studying the fact that mankind and its industrial movements have caused the climate to get worse, and it's going to make the winters colder and the summers hotter, and it's going to melt the ice and raise sea levels, and Florida's going to be a figment of the past soon, and thank God for that. And she acknowledges that. And it's like, hey, that's probably not good. You know, it's a bunch of old people in Florida that are probably going to perish. We need to keep those, Republican voter registrations up. Florida's a very important state for Republicans to win. And it's very likely that they do because it's less purple than it's ever been. It's just another way they want to kill off their voter base for whatever reason. Like, there's nothing here. And she flew private. And I could be against that, and I am. But I can also understand it. It's like when they got mad about Bernie Sanders flying private. Because he used to literally fly, like, economy. Like, there's pictures and stories of him just being in, like, the average Joe seats while he was a senator for Vermont. And before then, probably, too. But then he became a national candidate within a hop, skip, and a jump away from the presidency, potentially. And he's, like, a social democrat. So people were really, on the right, were really scared about that. And they did not like him very much. And he's also Jewish, which the right wing does not like either. So him fearing for his safety, I think is fair. You know, it's like how Donald Trump doesn't allow firearms at his speaking engagements. Fair play. You know, you're a pretty popular guy. You got a lot of haters. You're going to want some security there so that you don't get yoinked. The same for Bernard. So private planes in that way are not only helpful because, one, you can get to places quicker, because if you have like a busy schedule doing like talks around the country like Trump does, or you have a busy schedule doing concerts around the country and world like Taylor Swift does, it's going to be a bit easier to fly private because you have your own route. Whereas if you were to go through like first class, you would have to rely a bit more on the scheduling of the flight. And that may make it a bit harder to make those dates, those schedules. I can get it. I can understand it. What I can't understand is like Elon Musk flying from one end of California to the other in a private jet. Why don't we just have like a bullet train up and down the coast of California for that? Doesn't make any sense. So that's what they're going for here. Anyway.
Constantly talks about climate change. So just please don't believe everything Taylor Swift says.
Oh my God.
We're all begging you.
Yeah,
Man, it's not often I'm not trying to hear a woman's opinion. You know, we're pretty woke at this channel. But I just, there was nothing here. It was just in one ear, out the other, because it was coming straight out of her ass. There was nothing going on. It was just hot fumes. That's crazy. And it's interesting, too, because, like, these are pretty popular people. Like, Taylor Swift. I don't know about Travis Kelce, whatever. Maybe he's getting more popular now because he's with Taylor Swift. That's a pretty big dub, in my opinion. She's quite pretty. Sure, she's a fun person to be around. Like, I don't know, this is not a winning strategy, like, this tweet seems to suggest, for getting the vote out. Like, on the one hand, you're mad that there are more young people getting registered to vote because of Taylor Swift, and that decreases the likelihood of Republicans winning because, one, more people will be voting, and two, more young people will be voting. And for whatever reason, they think that that's not likely to help them, more people voting. So that's already, telling you what you need to know. But, like, now we're going to make it a big part of our platform to shit on one of the most popular musicians in the world. And more power to him, double down. You know what happens when you double down and it doesn't work? You triple down. What else do we have here? Oh, yeah, this is what they really hate. So this was, I'm not going to play the audio, but this is like when the Chiefs or whatever won the AFC championship or whatever, and, Travis Kelce, Mr. Pfizer, as it were, is on that team. This is from Tavis, which is a Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift stan account, I assume. 1989, I assume that's the year they were born. Travis, quote, "Tay, I'm going to enjoy with the guys, probably to celebrate the win. I love you so much, it's not even funny. I'll see you in a bit. Taylor, I've never been this happy ever." This might just be what they're adding in. Is that? I guess I have to listen.
Tay, I'm going to enjoy with the guys over here. So much fun.
No. Oh, no, she does say it. I've never been this happy or so happy ever. She actually says it. This is what the right wing fears. This is what is so terrifying to Republicans, conservatives. It's a white couple in love. They hate it. They hate it. It sickens them. They recoil in disgust. It deals psychic damage to them. It's like a 2d4 psychic hit. They're handling it pretty well, though, all things considered. Taylor Swift makes music for girls who give toothy head. Taylor Swift AI is never wrong. Free Travis Kelce. And the joke here is that Travis Kelce is a cuck and is going to raise the child that isn't his, because in this case, there's a pivotal difference here between the representations of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. and then the child. The pivotal difference being the baby's crying and not smiling. This is just a projection of right-wingers' sexual frustration. The whole cuck thing, they call everybody a cuck, on the left. These soy cucks, et cetera, et cetera. Even though, there is historical precedent of right-wingers, conservatives, having this, be a genuine fear of theirs in the past. Mostly because the only reason there is a substantial black population in this country is because the conservatives of the day, during the slave days, before this country was even founded, stole Africans from Africa and brought them as property to the United States, abused them, raped them, had a bunch of illegitimate children, a lot of slave masters did, with the slaves that they raped and abused and killed, and a lot of times. And then eventually, there are a bunch of black Americans now who can't even trace their lineage back to Africa, if there even is one, because of the fact that their backgrounds were systematically erased in the process of the slave trade, etc. Eventually, freedom is gained, not fully. The 13th Amendment still allows for slavery if you're convicted of a federal crime. Turns out that a lot of policing policies are kind of formatted to lock up certain people more than others. White people, they dabble in the drugs and they sell drugs at similar rates to black and brown people. Turns out black and brown people are convicted of those crimes more often. Surely it's just a coincidence. That's a federal crime. What happens then? You can't vote and you can be used for slave labor in prison. Pretty poggers if you're a fan of authoritarianism and hate liberty and freedom. So the whole reason why this is a thing is because once segregation hit and then desegregation hit and shit's getting a little bit okay for black people, it's not good, but it's a little bit better. Then, black people can go and interracial marriage is allowed now. All of a sudden, it wasn't before. It was literally against the law to fall in love with a person who is not your skin color and decide to make that official through marriage, through the state, to get a piece of paper from the state that says you're married for tax benefits and whatnot. That's now legal. You're allowed to do that. It didn't used to be. And now, it's a bunch of white women that realize that black and brown people are kind of better at dancing and are kind of cooler, generally speaking, because of the culture that they have, a lot of which, that culture has been brought about through their struggle that they were subjected to by the people who are in power who happen to be white. That's not to say that all white people are, guilty of this, because of course not. But the systems that are in place were designed by white people of the past, and there's a lot of ripple effects for that. There's still some lingering, curses and some rot that need to be done away with that still, unfortunately, disproportionately impact black and brown people. So listen, all I'm going to say is get better at dancing then. Maybe learn how to move around a little bit instead of just doing this all the time. And, maybe white women will have to leave for Tyrone or whatever it is you say, like this image suggests. Seems like a you problem. That is a skill issue. You got to bootstrap that one. But this is just them posting their fetish. It's a repressed sexual energy. Look in this person's browser history. You will not be surprised at what you find. What else do we have here? Oh yeah, I guess speaking of AI generations of Taylor Swift, apparently Taylor Swift is, I think, thinking of was the thing. Taylor Swift suing AI lawsuit. What's good with that? Yeah, from Vogue.com. That's what you need. If anyone could stop the coming AI hellscape, it's Taylor Swift. I'll support her. Listen, this will be the first time that I'll become a Swiftie, okay? If she helps eradicate the absolute curse that is AI content. Because you could use AI in a lot of cool ways, and people have. But the visual art side of things is some dog shit. Not only does it steal from artists, it could also be used maliciously like we're about to find out. Taylor Swift has proven herself capable of many things, including toppling monopolies and making mass transit cool again. Oh, that was also cool. I remember that. Because of one of her gigs, one transit system somewhere registered 1 billion% increase in people on transit, and it was really good for them, and it helped that transit system a lot. I'm a big fan of mass transit, of mass trans, so pretty good. Her latest endeavor, taking on artificial intelligence, is perhaps her most ambitious yet. Sexually explicit AI-generated images of Swift have been circulating on social media this week, with one Twitter post attracting more than 45 million views. While the user who shared the images was suspended, the post was up on the site for almost a full day. Now, Swift is reportedly considering legal action, quote, "These fake AI-generated images are abusive, offensive, exploitative, and done without Taylor's consent and or knowledge," a source close to the 34-year-old singer told the Daily Mail. And it's, it's true. That's true. It's not good. There was also a story of, I believe it was a 14-year-old girl who was getting bullied using AI-generated sexually explicit images of her that obviously she would not have consented to, like actual like PDF file shit. Though I think this was done by people in her age group. And then because of that, the 14-year-old girl ended up killing herself. It was only a matter of time before AI generations were used in this way, and now it has happened there, and it's also, happening in this way too. The issue of deepfakes, i.e. the use of AI to manipulate a person's physical image, has been gaining traction lately with U.S. politicians, including New York Congressman Joseph Morell, speaking out about Swift's predicament. Last year, in an attempt to make the sharing of deepfake pornography illegal, Congressman Morell introduced the Preventing Deepfakes of Intimate Images Act. What's happened to Taylor Swift is nothing new, wrote the New York Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke on Twitter. This is an issue both sides of the aisle and even Swifties should be able to come together to solve. True. So that's happening. So she's thinking that she might put up a lawsuit, and she's got the money for the good lawyers. So if we get some like legislation out of this to absolutely blow AI generation shit out of the water, that'd be sick. Like, I'm fine with like if you're using Chat GPT to like generate ideas for you for like, oh, I want to write a short story. Give me a plot, and then you like workshop the plot, but you write it yourself. You don't have them write the thing. Or if like you're a coder and you're like, yo, what's a common way to get through this problem that I'm having in my code? Well, here's a couple helpful tips. Like, that's fine. I'm okay with that. AI could be used in a lot of other good ways as well that aren't exploitative and stealing from people. It should be said, by the way, that those things that I just mentioned are still potentially, and in most cases likely, stealing from the labor of others. Be it like if you are trying to generate like a bunch of different plots you could potentially develop into your own short story that you write yourself, those will often be stolen, whoever is managing this language model, and put together from other people. Much the same way the coding stuff still could be. So that shit's cringe. But it's not to say that it is impossible to be used for the benefit of others. It's just that in many ways, because of the fact that people need to make a buck and want to make a buck and are incentivized to make as much money as possible, AI is a good way to cut down on human labor costs because you can just use a tool that's stealing from the labor of other humans, and then you don't have to pay that tool. So that's a good way to cut down on human labor costs. And that's how it's often being used. And in this case, it's also being used in an abusive capacity, targeting not only politicians and public officials and popular celebrities, but also everyday people who are getting harassed and being subject of all manner of abuse because of these generated images. Like that story of the 14-year-old girl who took her own life because of that I mentioned. It's not good. And if the Swifties are a pivotal aspect of taking that down, then I might buy a Taylor Swift cassette one day. Who's to say? In celebration of that victory. It would be me stooping to great lows to do so, but it would be worth it for the symbolic nature of such an act. Anyway, also here's this, I guess. No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen has posted, Taylor Swift's dad. Well, I guess we'll just watch the thing, because this was way back when she was talking about not liking Trump or whatever.
The other thing, just from a security
so you
standpoint,
think
Taylor Swift comes out against Trump.
I don't care if they write that. I'm sad that I didn't 2 years ago, but I can't change that. I'm saying right now that this is something that I know is right, and you guys, I need to be on the right side of history. And if he doesn't win, then at least I tried.
Taylor, this
is he being Joe Brandon, Beijing Biden, Sleepy Joe is who he winning and she's talking about. Because obviously she would have been in favor of Hillary Clinton in 2016 because, women, am I right? Come on, is there a monolith? Hey. But also because she was a Democrat. Bernie would have won, by the way. Anyway.
I just want to read you what I wrote, and I'm going to try to start. I just really want you to know that this is important to me.
I totally agree with the issue. Have you heard hers? Yes, I've read the entire thing. And the bottom line right now, I'm terrified. I'm the guy that went out and bought armored cars.
I worry for her safety as much as anybody does. Maybe more.
So I should say, this is the first I'm hearing about this and seeing this clip. The issue of security and safety for celebrities is an important one and is a valid one because, we remember John Lennon. We remember Tupac. We remember a whole bunch of different public officials who have been killed by either people who hate them or people who are fanatically obsessed with them. It's not good. So being one of the most popular pop stars in the world, your security is going to become a concern, which is, partially why she's flying private jets to get around to her music engagements.
She votes against against fair pay for women. She votes against the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, which is just basically protecting us from domestic abuse and stalking.
Who's
she votes. She thinks that if you're a gay couple, or even if you look like a gay couple, you should be allowed to be kicked out of a restaurant. It's really basic human rights, and it's right and wrong at this point. And
That's
can't see another commercial and see her disguising these policies behind the words Tennessee Christian values. Those aren't Tennessee Christian values.
Real.
I live in Tennessee. I'm a Christian. That's not what we stand for.
And women, frankly.
I need to do this. I need you to just... Dad, I need you to forgive me for doing it, because I'm doing it.
So based. And listen, I'm not the biggest Brandon supporter, okay? Listen, here. You know, I might keep the Joe Biden truth over flies fly swatter behind my Chiappa Rhino revolver, okay? I might do that, but I'm not the biggest Joe Brandon fan. I just thought it was funny. I don't like the guy. I think he's kind of shit, actually. I just know that Trump is worse. That's it. And I also know that voting isn't the be-all, end-all, motherfucker. Like, you vote once, maybe twice every year, or not even, right? Like, you vote, like, every 2 years if you vote in midterms, which, you know, people should for the best possible option. Or every 4 years. The rest of those 364 days times 4, or whatever, you should be doing other shit if you don't think electoralism is the way to go, because it is the least impactful form of civic engagement you can engage in. It is the bare minimum to cast your vote. You should use your other time to help your community in a very impactful and material way, like volunteering, like forming community networks. So the Fifth Column has a lot of really good videos on how to do that. You should be doing this mutual aid shit that people on Twitter always talk about, but never really actually show themselves doing in practice. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff you could be doing. Trying to help develop parallel power structures could be really good. Yeah, unionize your workplace, organize in your workplace. Very good, very pog. And luckily, one of the few good things we've gotten out of the Brandon administration was not Brandon himself, but rather his NLRB, his National Labor Relations Board, has been very good and made a lot of good decisions when it comes to making it easier to unionize and making it harder for union busting to happen. So, like, problem is, we live in a society, I know this might be shocking, and the way that the first past the post voting system is set up, mathematically speaking, you only get 2 choices. It's blue or red. And I fucking hate what Joe Biden is doing historically and now. Don't get me wrong. There's been some dubs, and most of those aren't even from him, like his NLRB, for instance. When it comes to Israel-Palestine, I, like, literally despise him. Like, I hated him before. I despise him now. And, you know, you could have seen it coming. But holy fuck, man. It's been real bad. But both of these parties benefit from the fact that you only got those 2 options when you do the bare minimum civic engagement of casting a vote. And you could bet your ass that Trump would be as bad or worse. Part of the reason why Palestine is in the situation it's in to begin with is because Hillary Rodham Clinton, one of the worst candidates for president the world has ever seen, especially for the populist moment of the time, lost to Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump moved the embassy or whatever for the U.S. to Jerusalem for Israel or whatever. That was a huge move that was anti-Palestine. You would be insane to suggest that Trump would have been better on Palestine. You're nuts. You're crazy. You're taking crazy pills. You're smoking reefer. So, like, I'm pretty sure it would have been worse there, and also all over the world. Ukraine as well. Would have let Russia just completely take Ukraine. He would have rolled over like a dog, obviously. And then now Russia has a pretty extensive border against Poland. World War III could not be closer. Holy shit. Like, it's not good. Both Brandon and Trump are bad on illegal immigration. This is shit that's really close to my heart, because my dad literally came here by, you know, hopping on trains and walking. Nearly died to get here. Ended up finding one of the most beautiful women to ever exist. Very lucky in that way. My mom. And then I happened. Now, you know, he ended up getting his citizenship eventually, but I want to see better immigration policies. Because 1, it's the moral thing to do. 2, it's if you care about the well-being of humans, human good thing to do. And 3, it's good for the economy if you're a capitalist. What the fuck? You end up getting more people into the system, getting them a social security number. Literally, all studies have shown that immigration bolsters economies where it happens. If you give people a pathway to citizenship, they end up paying taxes as well, more than just sales tax, which they already pay while they're illegal. And that helps fund a bunch of programs, even the military, frankly. For right-wingers out there, you like the military? You like big, buff, muscly, oiled-up men working heavy machinery? I get it. It's not my thing. I prefer feminine men, but I get it. That's what you're into. more of that taxpayer money that is being generated off of these immigrants becoming citizens with a pathway to citizenship would strengthen our military as well. It would also make it so that you would not be competing with people who are willing to work for like $2 an hour because they would be being paid at least the minimum wage as citizens. The only reason they're paid for $2 an hour and they work for $2 an hour is because the people who hire them for these positions, instead of you, can threaten them with deportation if they ask for a raise. Whereas with your dumbass, you have to be paid at least the minimum wage or else you can go to the justice system to figure that out. They cannot. They would just get deported. So it's even better for workers too. And for them, frankly. Like, if you don't care about them at all as people, so if you're the average Republican, it's still better for you. Like, come on. In very obvious ways. Anyway. So, like, I get it. I fucking despise Brandon, all right? More than right-wingers do, because I have an actual reason to. Because he's ostensibly supposed to be the closest to my interest, politically speaking. But, like, Trump would obviously be worse. Let's not kid ourselves. Trump is actively trying to undermine the fact that people are even able to vote at all. And he's sent ripples through our electoral system for a bunch of his cockholsters across the country, the Republicans that are getting elected, who also want to do away with democracy in the local and state level. It's not good, man. I'm not a big fan of that. At least Brandon's not doing that. Now, obviously, I would like a better option. I was a Bernie supporter. I even made the cardinal sin of voting for Jill Stein in the blue state of New Jersey, mind you, in 2016, because I knew that it was going to go to Hillary Rodham Clinton anyway. If I was in a swing state, I would have voted HRC and then purged myself in the bathroom before even getting home. Because it's just what you got to do, unfortunately. Like, I will take, and this is unfortunate, this is the world we live in. If I could change it with the swing of a wand, I would. But I will take queer people and black and brown people getting like 0.5% improvement in their day-to-day life than them getting 50 to 100% decrease in their life and like active like laws against their existence, okay? I will take that. It's not a choice I want to make, but it's a choice I'm having to make. But that's just the bare minimum for me. Cast a vote. That's all I need to be doing. I'm just saying. I can understand if you're like not wanting to. I totally get it, especially with the Israel-Palestine shit. I have been free Palestine since day one. But I do not think Trump would be better, frankly. I do not. So that is to say, this rant brought to you by the fact that it is a good thing that the right-wingers are mad at Taylor Swift. Because she enfranchised a whole bunch of people to vote, a lot of which are younger and more likely to vote Democrat. As much as the Democratic Party tries to, shoo young people away, there's still, a pretty good bunch of votes to have, at the very least. Even though young people don't vote as much as they should, for, understandable reasons, even if I disagree with the reasoning. Be it you're not very involved in politics and don't care, or it's difficult to vote because you're in school or whatever, but that's not the greatest excuse because usually polling places will be set up on campus if you're in college anyway. 3, it's hard to vote in a lot of places because of Republican gerrymandering and voter suppression. I understand this. That one's understandable. But the other ones are like, I get the hesitancy. I get the genuine, valid reasons for not wanting to do it, but it is just something that you do once a year. Or once every 4 years, I should say, not even once a year. And you should be voting in local elections as well. Because that's where that power can actually be used for material good for the people in that locale. Like, voting for president is whatever. It's important, don't get me wrong, but like I say, it's the bare minimum. If you want to have an actual impact outside of, like, mutual aid shit, outside of the electoral system, you vote local, because that's where a lot of actual material good can happen in terms of your electoral effort. My take has always been this. In the primary, you vote for the best option, so in my case, the furthest left option. Potentially, I will also factor in their likelihood of being able to beat the more centrist or conservative Democrat in the Democratic Party. You vote for the best option. And then in the general, you vote for the least bad option, which is always going to be the Democrat. The Republicans are like the most far gone, and they've been in a while. I don't want to take that chance. And that's, benefit for both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, which is why I'm in favor of moving past the first past the post voting system, like I've said, and moving to a proportional voting system. That way, third parties are actually mathematically viable. As my aunt, whom I love very much, used to say, and probably still does to this day, life's a bitch and then you die. So the least you can do is make it the least bad as you possibly have the power to do. I will say voting once every 4 years for the least bad option, not the worst. Like, it causes me great physical discomfort to say all this, to be like, yeah, Biden's going to be better than Trump in the current moment. Because, I am also in a position where I'm utterly powerless to help the people in Palestine, whom I feel for very much. Because I'm just a who-mega-lol streamer in fucking America. Like, I see the news on a day-to-day basis of the absolute devastation going on over there. And I've been following the plight of the Palestinians for a long time. it causes me great physical and mental pain to have to talk about this shit in this way. But unfortunately, it is needing to be said, I guess. Anyway, the only reason why Taylor Swift is in the news is because right-wingers are mad that more people are being able to vote because she's advocating that more people do it, and Republicans don't like when more people vote because historically speaking, they understand that the less people vote, the more likely Republicans are to win. The more people vote, the more likely Democrats are to win. And the only way they're going to be able to cut taxes on the mega wealthy and deregulate multinational corporations so your ass has to work longer hours for less wages and worse conditions is if they gain power through that system until they can undo our democracy. And, you know, I think it's a valiant effort to stop them from seeing that kind of success because then they become happy. And I don't like that, frankly. I like when people are happy, but for good reason. Making people's lives worse is not a thing that should make you happy. And in that way, that happiness is corrupted. And I don't like to see it. Anyway.